In this video, we are going to be talking about the truth about the NFL. If you're not familiar with the NFL, it is the National Football League, which is an organization in the US. It's a very popular organization, so we're going to talk about that today. The reason why is because the Super Bowl, which is the championship for the NFL, is today. And I've always had my own personal opinion about the NFL, but I've never actually sat down to meditate and channel any information about it. So I thought it would just be more fun than anything. I don't know if any of you guys are going to find any of this information useful. I hope you do, but I thought it was just going to be more entertaining, to say the least. Now, I have to preface this video by saying that this is not going to be about football, right? Because football and sports, I love those things, and it's not going to be about that at all, because football is different than the NFL. So I was a little bit more curious about getting information on the NFL as an organization. But either way, all of this information is channeled through meditation. So if it resonates with you, then awesome. And if not, that's totally fine. I totally understand that I just can kind of sound crazy. So if you think it sounds crazy, don't worry, you're not alone. My name is Catherine. I'm an energy healer, spiritual coach, and nurse practitioner. If you want to work with me, you can go to my website at catherineglassman.com, or you can email me at hello@catherineglassman.com. So my very first question was, why is the NFL such a monster of an entertainment organization? Why is it so powerful? What is it really trying to do? And the one word that I got was distraction. That makes a lot of sense. I think that the majority of entertaining things are really created to kind of keep us distracted. Now, what they said is that the NFL didn't start off as an organization that was created to just distract people. It didn't start off like that. It started off fairly innocently, just like most things do. It just started off as a smaller league of people who wanted to play football, and it was meant to be very family oriented and just very communal. But as it grew into the powerhouse that it is, naturally, it just evolved into a more corrupt organization. So then I asked if it is indeed corrupt, and they said yes, which I think is kind of easy to see by you don't even really have to meditate or, do a deep dive into conspiracy theories about the NFL, but you can just kind of see it, right? Tickets to go to games are wildly overpriced. There seems to be a lot of cover-ups within the NFL and their players. It just seems like they constantly want to just sweep things under the rug. And that's just my human perspective. That wasn't something that I channeled, but that's just from observing things that have happened with football players, right? I think they recently had a football player in Las Vegas that was driving at 120 miles per hour and rear-ended a girl who had her dog in the car and killed them instantly, and the car caught on fire. Then you have other players that are committing domestic violence or were caught dog fighting, right? Just these horrendous things that happen with football players. Now, sure, these things can happen from anyone. Just the frequency of those kinds of activities coming from players is just a little questionable. Not to mention, if you haven't watched the movie Concussion with Will Smith, it's quite excellent. And I find that a lot of my friends who watch football, they just refuse to watch that movie because it highlights some of the corruption of the NFL. That movie is about a doctor who discovers chronic traumatic encephalopathy in the football players, and the NFL was basically trying to keep him quiet. But it's because of his work that they ended up changing helmets, and they started changing rules about how you tackle. It's really fascinating. I highly recommend it. So that just goes to show that you don't really have to meditate on any of that information. It's just already there, and it kind of just already highlights the corruption of the NFL. What I did channel, though, which I found to be pretty interesting, is that the NFL, okay, now take it or leave it, okay? The NFL plays on the work model of American citizens for you to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, right? So you work your 40 hours. And then, so how do I say this? Basically, from what I've seen, is that the education system, its model is to create employees, okay? It's not to create financially free individuals. It's not to create entrepreneurs, okay? It's not to create business owners. It's to create employees, right? So you go to school Monday through Friday, right? And then you have a lunch and then you go home and you do homework and you have the weekends off, okay? This looks very similar to a work week as an adult, right? So they're just kind of preparing you to live that kind of lifestyle. So as an adult, you go to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And while you're at work, what you're doing is you're exchanging your time and your energy. And in return, you get money. Okay. So it's just a transaction. So you're spending time and energy to make someone else money, but in return, you get a salary or an hourly wage. All right. So the NFL, just like with movies, celebrities, Hollywood, okay, they play on you being distracted and spending more time, more energy, and your hard earned money on being distracted. So the goal for the NFL is to take more of your time and energy, but to also take your money as well. They also said that this tends to be more attractive, or you tend to see more of this behavior in employees rather than entrepreneurs. And so I questioned that piece of information because I was like, surely, entrepreneurs or business owners, they watch football, right? And I tried to think of, some of the people that I know, and I personally don't know any business owners that watch football like religiously. I do know some people that are employees that watch it religiously and, participate in fantasy football and things like that. So, but that's just not my own personal experience, right? So I decided to Google it. And what did I put? I think I asked, like, do entrepreneurs watch football or something like that? And the very first article that comes up is a Vanity Fair article entitled, "Rich People Don't Watch Football." Now, that's a fairly old article. I think it was 2010. But it basically just said that football is not the sport. It's not the number one sport anyway. The number one sport is golf. And most wealthy people actually play golf, which makes sense. I think a lot of business deals happen on the golf course. The second one was European football, or soccer is what we call it in America. And that's because it's literally the most popular sport in the world. And the third one was skiing, which again is another thing that they participate in rather than watch. So again, the goal is for you to go to work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, make someone else money. You exchange your time and energy to do that. You get a little bit of money, but at the end of the week, for the weekend, you spend your time, your energy, and your money watching the NFL. But of course, the NFL is in cahoots with, Hollywood and just all of the other things that distract you. Social media, right? Consumerism, basically. The NFL just seems to be a really good organization that can attract more of like the masculine energy. And while I was meditating, they did say that there is actually a reason why football is primarily watched on Sundays. And it's symbolic. And the reason why is because it's the Sabbath. The Sabbath, which is a Sunday, is, according to Christianity, it's meant to be a holy day, right? It's meant to be a day of worship. But rather than keeping it as a holy day, what is happening is that people are trying to get through church. If they go to church, they'll just quickly get through church so that they can get home to watch football all day long. So again, it's meant to serve as a distraction. So not only does it drive your attention away from, God or spirituality or whatever, but it also pulls your attention away from your own personal life, from your family, from events that are happening that are fairly important. But because the NFL is just more entertaining, it's just more fun to put your attention to that rather than to things that have a higher priority. I'm sure we've all seen it, right? Like somebody will be at a wedding and they'll be watching a football game on their phone. Or they might even actually be in church and watching a game on their phone. And I mean, for the most part, it seems fairly innocent, but that's exactly what they want, is to take your attention away. So you could be really engaged in whatever event that you're at, but instead you're not even present and you're focused on watching an NFL game that really isn't giving you anything in return. And not to mention, some people do kind of create an obsession with the NFL, and it is very similar to celebrity obsession. It's really no different when one person has a jersey on and watches, their favorite team's game every single time, no matter what, and they watch all the games on Sunday. They get dressed up and put the paint on and spend hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, on season tickets. It's no different than being part of the Taylor Swift cult and spending thousands of dollars to go to her concerts and just completely break down and cry when you see her on stage. Which, it's funny that I'm even mentioning Taylor because she is dating the Chiefs player, and that's a whole thing. I don't know. I didn't really get into that, but it's interesting that I'm even bringing her up. It just goes to show that they're just one and the same. Speaking of which, you can tell that they're one and the same, or that they work together to keep people distracted, because they appeal to other people that don't really watch football by having really entertaining and high production commercials, and by also having a very entertaining halftime show, which I don't know if you guys watched it last year, but Rihanna is who performed last year, and it was weird. During her performance, she throws up like the Illuminati symbol, right? And at another part, she like takes her hand and puts it like in her private area and then like rubs it up and then smells her hand. Like, what are we watching? Why? It's like, you guys are just so obvious, but I mean, hey, it's just a conspiracy. So the next question I asked was if there were actually scripts, right? There's a conspiracy out there that the NFL is scripted and rigged. And the answer that I got was yes. So after getting that answer, I decided to just see what I could find on the internet, like if it's been confirmed or if it's even a thing. And apparently there was a football player, a retired football player, that came forward and said that the NFL is scripted and it is rigged. Then it looks like there was a lot of backlash against this particular player. He got made fun of a lot. I don't really know what happened to him. And now it looks like there's just a lot of leaked scripts coming out of everywhere. And I didn't meditate on that part, but I intuitively, seeing that, it kind of felt like an attempt to get ahead of it, right? So rather than trying to say like trying to deny that there are scripts, which they do deny, right? They just deny that. But now they're kind of playing on it like, haha, there's another script leaked, and then it ends up being wrong, then disproving that that's even a thing, making it sound illogical or impossible. But the information that I channeled was that yes, there are scripts, that it is rigged. Like they know the outcomes for the most part. The referees are bought. If a player does not want to participate in the scripts, that's fine. They'll just be fired and watched very closely, so that they don't just go running around telling people that that's a thing. But this ends up being the reason why they get paid so well. Because if you can pay them enough, they don't care. They're just there to play a game that they love and to make lots of money. So, I mean, heck, if I was a football player and I was getting paid millions of dollars, sure. You want me to act like I broke my leg? You got it. So why is this even important? I figured I had to ask. I was actually just doing this for my own entertainment. I was just more curious than anything. But they said that there's nothing wrong with watching football or watching the NFL. There's nothing wrong with enjoying it, just as long as you understand that its sole purpose is to distract you. It didn't originally start off that way, but because it's become such a big organization, naturally, the shadow government, the Illuminati, they're using it as a tool to keep you distracted so that bigger and better things can happen in the background without any of us really knowing about it. But there's nothing wrong with enjoying it, just as long as you understand that you are exchanging your time and your energy to watch something that really isn't giving you anything in return. and could be taking you away from other things that may be of a higher priority, which I think we're all guilty of, right? The whole idea is that you relax and you just watch something that you enjoy and you don't have to worry about anything else. But that's why it's part of that cycle of making you work so hard and so often so that by the time you get to a time where you can have some personal time and energy to spend on yourself or on your family, you'd rather just relax and kind of be lazy and watch football. It's also important to understand that if you are one to watch football all day on Sunday and play fantasy football and things like that, but you're also one who wants to be wealthy and travel a lot and do all of these other things, that watching the NFL to that degree is not going to get you there. So what can we do? Just moderate yourself. That's all. To make it easy, if you find yourself being like really kind of obsessed with football, but you find, teenage girls being obsessed with Taylor Swift to be weird, just remember that it's the same thing. And so what would you tell a fan to do if you felt like there was like an unhealthy obsession? Well, you'd probably just tell them to just back off, that there are other things that can be done that will actually be fulfilling. And it's okay to enjoy it, but maybe enjoy it without spending thousands of dollars. Or watch it, but only watch like a game rather than the entire day. Because I think one game is like a couple of hours. Definitely use it as an opportunity to spend time with your friends and family. Again, there's nothing wrong with enjoying NFL games, but it's just to the degree in which you watch them, and to always keep in mind that it's just a distraction. The Super Bowl is today. I'm hoping that it ends up being just an enjoyable event for everybody who's going to be watching it. If you do watch it, then let me know if you see any Illuminati stuff during the halftime show. But with that being said, I hope you liked the video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Consider subscribing, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.